And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Lakers weekend, everyone. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. This week's episode, I just finished with Josh Peterson. Josh and I covered the latest news and notes, including the movies this weekend, which included The Bomb, Argyle, and how he related it to Apple's foray into major motion picture moving. So go ahead and check out that. Speaking of Apple, there's Vision Pro. We talked about that. Video game news and our new segment, Facing the Franchise. We touch on Harry Potter to start off with. So go ahead and check it out. FL24. I know we said we were going to record later, but we happened to record early. So go ahead and check it out. It's on YouTube right now, or for everybody listening out there, it's available on audio podcasts and radio stations worldwide. Plus, also as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, we do plan on touching on our thoughts with, of course, the Super Bowl coming out this week. So go ahead and check out our thoughts there on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Darren says, Jamie, your beard used to be red. And now we're all getting all older. Oh, well, you've noticed that. So definitely looking forward to seeing what everybody is going to be talking about this weekend this upcoming next weekend with the Super Bowl. So go ahead and check out our thoughts Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Plus also as well, our good friends at Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV. Also as well, of course, Mr. Joe Soro. You want to go ahead and check out what he's doing today at Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Plus, of course, all the great things he does with this Lakers nightcap. To give you a report, he is alive. He is alive. And the reason why I say that, if you watched last night's Lakers nightcap, I know a lot of people were concerned about his health after drinking himself into oblivion, but he is okay. He was drunk. And all I could say is after the episode that we recorded, he kept on saying, Gerald, I think I'm effed up. I think I'm really effed up. It was hilarious to see, but
I'll watch that after this.
I did do a well check on Joe Soro. He is okay.
Good.
He is okay. Good. Yes, he is okay. So go ahead and check out Lakers Nightcap. There's not going to be one tonight, but there is going to be hopefully one tomorrow that will go ahead and probably do around 10 p.m. Pacific. So go ahead and follow that. But also as well, of course, Empire Jeff TV, Lakers in 5, our good friends also as well at Lakers Corner with John Costa and Clutch Talk, also as well, John McCallion channel and the Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. And please support all these great channels like you support ours. And if you support ours, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe today. Click on the little Joe with the beady eyes in the right-hand corner of the screen to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. He is alive. Joe is alive. Yes.
He's not going to do a nightcap tonight. He's going to do a hair of the dog.
He was pretty smashed, to say the least. And so hopefully you get a chance to see last night's episode indeed. But it is the Lakers Fast Break, the Lakerholics Spotlight for Lakers weekend. It is, of course, Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out the latest opinions of Laker Tom. Hopefully he isn't too mad at me this weekend after what I said about his thoughts on his latest revamped lineup with his latest trade proposals.
I mean,
yeah, he did not take kindly to my thoughts on that. I'll just
So did he send you an email or something?
Yeah, he sent me an email to his Twitter link, and I posted on the Twitter link and an email that I did not think the greatest of his revamped lineup. So
you've been summoned to the principal's office.
Yeah, I was. And, I said I didn't mean it too nasty, but he took it kind of as such, and I said, you know what, I deserve that. I deserve that kind of response. It was just, yeah, his trade proposals have kicked into high gear. And he said, Gerald, I'm not getting, I'll paraphrase, he wasn't getting any younger, so he needs the Lakers to get desperate and trade. Right. So, yes. So at 79, his trade proposals become more and more out there. And hopefully you get a chance to see that at Laker Tom and Lakerholics.com. Plus Jamie Sweet's 5 Things articles. They got to be good this time around. The past couple games have been pretty good. So hopefully you'll get to check it out at Lakerholics.com. But it is the Lakers
Sorry,
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to blather. Go for it.
Okay. Well, you're going to be blabbing here in a second because I'll shut up here in a second. It is, of course, the Lakers Grammy trip. They head into Charlotte tomorrow on the week of the NBA trade deadline. So I got the guys here today from Lakerholics.com to go ahead and talk about that. And here today to discuss, can they finish off this potential? We talked about it on last night's post game, the Admiral Akbar special tomorrow in Charlotte in honor of Jamie Sweet. But also here today, I'm going to start off with a good friend who has not been on the show in a while, Jamie. So I do apologize for that. So I want to go ahead and bring him in here. It is the guy, the Michigan State Spartan himself, the guy from the wonderful Detroit area that is a super duper Laker fan indeed. It is LRob. LRob, great to have you back, my friend. I wanted to bring you on because this is the week of the NBA trade deadline. This is the week as far as the Grammy trip is concerned with tomorrow. First off, do you see any complications after two great performances in Boston and New York by the Lakers? Do you see them finishing off in Charlotte tomorrow?
Well, I'm glad to be back, Gerald. Good to see you, Jamie, as well. Man, any complications in Charlotte? No. I mean, we are talking to Lakers, so it'll be a little interesting, but they will not lose that game. So they'll cruise and win that game. Gary Rozier usually gave the Lakers some problems sometimes, so we don't have to worry about Scary Terry tomorrow. That's true. That helps some.
Okay.
But it'll probably, there's always someone we've never heard of, somebody that we do not know right now that will probably emerge and hit 7 3-pointers tomorrow.
This is my fear, LRob. This is my fear.
This will be the game that James Bouknight comes alive.
There you go.
Right, exactly.
Or JT Thor. How about there?
I've never even heard of these guys.
Yes, so there you go. But they're on the back end of the Charlotte roster. But LRob.
Yeah. I mean, Charlotte's got a lot going on. Half of their guys are still in the in trade rumors. So, they're in disarray right now. So, yeah, I don't expect them to really band together and put together this great game tomorrow. Although when the Lakers are in town, there's usually more energy in the building. They'll probably have their best turnout in a long time. So they'll be competitive, I'm sure, for a while.
Darren, I don't think you're going to get LeBron playing the New York D that in Charlotte that he played last night. Plus, he won't be coming off of a game off and all that. But LRob, how encouraged? Let's get to the games in Boston, New York for you. How encouraged were you by the success in Boston without LeBron and AD, and then following it up with a very good defensive performance? This is probably one of the best defensive performances of the year by the Lakers in their victory over New York.
Very encouraged with the Boston effort. Not so much yesterday. I mean, New York is playing without Julius Randle. I mean, they're playing without Anunoby. They're playing, I can't think of the other guard off the top of my head. So, I mean, they're playing without Grimes. So, I mean, those – I mean, they don't have a whole lot of scoring. So to really focus in on Brunson, took them a little while to figure it out and get their trap together. I mean, it's amazing that you're trying to trap him and guys still let him get to his left hand to get out of the trap. It's like so frustrating. So I wasn't that impressed yesterday. I'm glad they won. It's never easy winning on the road, but I wasn't overly impressed with the effort yesterday. It was, but Boston game, that was amazing. And that is the Jackson Hayes that I was expecting to see. So it was good to see him, playing up to where the Lakers believe he can play. If they can get something out of that position, I mean, we had kind of written him off and figured out, through the first 40 games that, hey, we've seen the best that he has, and he's really not useful, but he's been very good the last couple games. So that's something to build on. We got to grasp whatever we can. And I like Anthony Davis focusing on defense. If they can replace him where he doesn't have to try to go out and score 30, that if he can just give you 18 to 22 and have more energy for defense, I think the Lakers will be a much better team. So
definitely couldn't agree with you more on that. Once again, it is Lakerholics Spotlight on Lakers Weekend. It is, of course, Jamie Sweet and LRob, and here today to go ahead and share his thoughts as well is the man behind the 5 things articles you see at Lakerholics.com. It is, of course, Jamie Sweet. And Jamie, great to have you here, my friend. The local never-do-well, as he has pronounced himself. Your thoughts, agreeing with LRob on his summation in regards to the games in Boston, New York, and how we could possibly end up being 4-2 on this Grammy trip with a victory over Charlotte.
I'm telling you, after that Atlanta game, there was no way. I thought there was that our best possible hope was coming back 500, best possible case scenario. So I'm happy to be proven wrong, as I often am, being a pessimist and not being an overly optimistic person as I tend to be. So, I have to agree with LRob. I thought the Boston victory, A, because it was in Boston, B, because Boston had their whole team healthy. They had Porzingis, they had Brown, they had Tatum, they had Holiday, and the other guys who play with those 4. I don't know any of the other Celtics other than those 4. I thought that was a much more impressive victory, especially considering how D'Lo didn't actually shoot the ball that well. Yeah. Which meant that,
but he was a great floor leader. 14 assists, I think, in ball.
That was his best point guard game of the year.
Yeah.
And I think that he's really stepped up to take on that challenge specifically since he got reinserted into the starting lineup. I feel like he's been engaged with his teammates. I think he's always been like a pretty good cheerleader, getting guys riled up, pumped up when they do something good. He's always kind of like in their face, like, happy for them. And you need a guy like that on your team. And he's really stepped into that role comfortably. It's not a role that LeBron's going to play. It's not a role that AD is going to play. Reeves seems a little too emo for that role. So it's Russell, right? So he's doing it. He's got the personality for it. He's got that's something that works for him. So it's nice to see him stepping into that kind of vacuum. Kind of like a more effectual and plays a lot more than Jared Dudley did, but like a guy who's keeps it light on the floor, keeps everybody, focused on the task at hand, but doesn't make it feel like a job. Doesn't make it feel like, you're if you don't do it, I'm gonna punch you in the face like how Kobe would have led. It's a very different style, and I think for this team it fits better. We got a lot of young guys or guys who have been in the league for a while, but maybe not made the mark they hoped or expected to have made. And so, with guys like that, I would imagine there's a bit of a confidence issue at this point. It certainly looked that way with Cam Reddish in preseason. It looks like that with Wood all the time. But guys, I really was hoping to count on for a solid, 15, 20 minutes a game. And he just hasn't been able to carve that niche into this team. And like LRob said, I couldn't agree more. It was great seeing Jackson Hayes put together back-to-back. Did he get a foul last night? Maybe one?
Yeah, one. I think he did.
So he's played 2 games in a row.
He'll usually get 3 in 3 minutes.
Right. He used to be a foul a minute guy, if not more. Right. So to see that level of discipline, because it's not for a lack of athleticism or physical talent or gifts that he has that reduce his impact. He's got all the tools in the box. It's just that he plays too fast, he's too aggressive sometimes, and he needs to let the play develop, and he needs to let the offensive player come at him. Sometimes guys who are like super great jumpers or super fast or both try to make the play before it should be made. They're too ready to make the play. He's looked more in control of his athleticism. He's looked more in control of. He's just more focused. And then you heard him talk about it after the Boston win when he was like, "I've been working with the coaches. I'm not showing my hands." He used to have his hands out in front of him all the time, picking up easy touch fouls, even though he's not really hitting a guy. They're gonna call it if your hand is on a guy and he drives by you, and he flails his arm or something. They're just gonna call it. Whether it's really a foul or not isn't debatable. The whistle blew. You're done. It's over. The foul is on you. So to see Hayes go 2 games in a row with 1 foul is, I think, just monumental for this team, because without Vanderbilt, we haven't heard if it's like for the season, but even if it's for like 2
It is
months,
most likely for the season.
It
Woj
sounds
was
like-
reporting it tonight. Last night, it looked like it was going to be for the season.
even if it's 2 months or whatever, I mean, that's the season.
Yeah.
Like, could he come back for the playoffs? Maybe, but they'll have to ramp him up again. And we saw that took about a month for him to get
Well,
up.
if he has surgery, it's a done deal.
If he needs surgery, it's going to be like Embiid. You're done till next season. And I hope that he does whatever's best for the long-term health of his career, that he doesn't try to do something to like come back for like a meaning, I don't want to say meaningless playoff run, but you only got the one body you got, man. Take care of it. Do what's right. The Lakers, you're coming into a big contract. You're getting money next year. You're okay. Take care of yourself, because we saw what he's capable of doing when he's healthy. On both ends of the floor, frankly, he had become an offensive threat on both ends of the floor.
Because he stopped trying to stay out at the 3-point line, and he went inside, and he stayed inside, and he cut inside, and made him a much more valuable individual for them to cover.
Steph Curry of power forwards, right? Moving without the ball, cutting without the ball, seeking open spaces. And he was even taking threes. He was taking the open threes when they came his way. And that's all you can ask from a guy like that. I kind of equate him to Dennis Rodman, where it's like, oh, you scored 10 points? Gravy, baby. That's straight gravy, because of everything else you bring. Those 10 points are like extra super bonus time. And so seeing him go down was just, for me, he's my favorite player. I like Vando the most on the team. I think, I always have a soft spot for guys who are maybe not the most talented, who don't just jack up threes, and who really get after, who do the things that help the team win that a lot of players just don't do for whatever reason. I don't know why. It seems to me like an easy way to get on a team and stay on a team in the NBA. But for whatever reason, a lot of players just want to shoot the three, or, dunk the ball, or, cross dudes over and get to the, and it's like, there's so much more to the game than that. And so it really was, for me, disheartening, even in the win against Boston. It was very bittersweet because Vando went down, and just the way he went down, you knew it wasn't going to be like, oh, he didn't like rolls. It just, so that's still a bummer to me, but it's nice that the Lakers were able to put together back-to-back wins. I have to agree 100% with LRob. The fact that the Knicks were down 3 stars made it, we should have won that game. It feels like, especially since we had AD and LeBron. And what I liked most in the Knicks win, even more than the defense, was seeing the Lakers trusting the other guys more, not having to rely on LeBron to score the basketball, to make the play. And so, they put the ball in Reeves' hands. They put the ball in D'Lo's hands a little bit, although not down the stretch because he was on the bench. And, LeBron did his thing too. It's that they didn't like ignore LeBron, but like they kind of put it on Reeves to go out and like make plays and get guys involved. And he struggled with that a lot this season. And so it was nice to see him, do that well.
Yeah, similar to last year's playoffs, a few games in the playoffs where they pretty much turned Reed AR loose. So,
how's the lasagna?
How is the lasagna? Yes, is it looking good?
It's good. All set.
Okay, fair enough. Gotta have lasagna. That's good. You get me in the mood for lasagna there. Once you mentioned it earlier, it was like, oh my gosh, gotta have lasagna later on. So there you go. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is LRob, along with Jamie Sweet from Lakerholics.com. Truly appreciate you watching and listening. So, LRob, I bring it back to you, my friend. This is the NBA trade deadline week. And, of course, but Laker Tom and everybody out there making their mock trades, seeing if the Lakers need this, that. You've got one side of the coin, my side, that thinks, you know what, the Lakers don't have that much in assets to go ahead and give up in a trade. So you're really not going to be able to get someone or some players that are going to definitively change the projection of your roster. So why don't you contemplate getting under, just standing pat relatively, maybe something along the fringes, but trying to stay under the repeater tax for the first time in a long time, getting off of that, getting a $14 million bonus or whatever it is that they pay out to the buses for being under the tax, and building your assets going forward, because you pick up an extra 2 first-round picks this summer that could potentially give you 3 first-round picks to utilize in a trade, plus some assets, as far as money, some expiring contracts if D'Lo walks. If on the slight chance that LeBron actually says he's done and he's had enough, obviously freeing up money there. That's just all speculation, rumor, but what have you. Again, I just think that if the Lakers stand pat, might be better off for their long term. But of course, Laker Tom, others out there, they want changes. They want it now that they think will make this team better to go after number 18. I just don't think the Lakers have enough assets to get what they need to get number 18. So your thoughts, my friend. Again, this is the week of the NBA trade deadline. Your vision on what the Lakers may or may not do to your preference going forward.
Okay, so if the trade is not going to get us number 18, but can improve us and give us a chance to be better in the playoffs, is that what you're saying? If it can't,
is it worth getting into the tax just for a nominal upgrade that'll get us a first or second round elimination?
I can tell you are in the minority as far as fans caring about the tax or any
I just know what the Lakers are thinking about.
Of this wheeling and dealing.
I just know what the buses are thinking about after
they will spend the buses money until the cows come home.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody will spend their money, but the buses themselves, as we've seen on occasion, they don't want to spend their money.
Yeah.
So understanding that and seeing how that is, I mean, I want to win as 18 as much as everybody else, but if you do it to throw away your future for some short-term gains that don't get you what you want to get, it won't really make sense.
So if Vando's done for the season,
yes, most likely.
That significantly lowers any chance of winning a championship.
Agreed.
I mean, I still believe as up and down as this team has been, as mediocre as they've been, as disinterested as they've been on many occasions, I still felt they had a ceiling, with Vando, and a full roster that they hadn't tapped into quite yet. So I was not ready to write them off totally. Man, there's not a lot out there. And like you say, the Lakers don't have the assets, the D'Lo and picks or whatever for DeJounte Murray.
Just one first round pick.
Okay. Does that make the Lakers better? Yes. I think that raises okay, if we get this D'Lo that we've had in January, if we know that we're getting this D'Lo for the rest of the playoff run, then no, it's definitely not worth it.
Right.
But we've seen them for however many years, and this is not this level. I mean, it's not sustainable. He's shooting over 50% from 3-point range, I think, in the last 10, 12 games or whatever it is. So, and he's been playing great. So I'm very happy for him. And it sounds like he's found his happy place and he's not worried about it. He's just going out there balling. So that's a good thing. But without a significant wing defender, you can't make it through the gauntlet that is the Western Conference without some better defense. And yes, LeBron will be more attentive in the playoff and his defense will ramp up. But, there's only so much he can do. Reeves is what he is. Taurean Prince is not that good a defender. Now having the chance to see him for, as many games as we did, when you watch him occasionally here and there, you say, okay, he's a decent defender. And that's, and this whole 3-and-D label has been thrown out there so much that, you automatically assume a guy can hold up the D end of that 3, of that label when they're given that. But he's not really he tries, but he just doesn't have the lateral quickness or to really to make it tough on guys. So we really don't have that. So yeah, it's gonna be a short run. Can Bruce Brown add something to it? Yes. If you can get Bruce Brown, it depends on what you're talking about. If you get Bruce Brown, a guy like Bruce Brown would certainly help. Would give the Lakers some toughness and would raise their ceiling and give them a chance to be more competitive. So the big challenge though is there's a guy in the locker room who is not going to be very happy if no changes are made, if no efforts are made.
Oh, he's already sending hourglass tweets.
Yeah. So the buses, they gotta factor that in. You're fine with waiting and restocking for next
I
year.
didn't say I'm fine. I'm just expecting. I just think the smart money
Right.
is just, again, short-term gains. A first or second round exit is not going to make LeBron happy anyway. So you don't win in that scenario because, again, DeJounte Murray or Bruce Brown, they're nominal upgrades. They're not going to combine even get you past a Denver, maybe even a Phoenix, maybe even Oklahoma City or
What if we
Minnesota.
get great news? What if we get great news back in a week that that Vando is going to be back? He's only going to be out for 3 weeks. Then, I mean, but the trade deadline is gone. So I hope they can get some good information. If Vando's going to be around, then I think you got to move. You got to try to upgrade your roster and give it a shot. You never know. You catch a hot streak in the playoffs, and you know the Lakers weren't that far off last year. I mean, they got swept against Denver, yes, but they were competitive in all those games. And if they had one better player, Vando plays better. They can be competitive. They can have a shot. So I'm not scared of anybody. I mean, Denver's great. The Clippers are playing great. Phoenix has got, they're rolling now. Am I really scared of all those teams? Any of them? Denver, because they're the champs and they've proven they can do it. But am I trusting Reggie Jackson in the playoffs to do some of the things that I'm sorry, I'm not, even though he's been pretty good last few years. I'm still would not totally.
But they don't need him as much because they've got a guy named Murray there that's been doing quite a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got to have somebody coming off the bench that's gonna give you some punch. The Clippers, if they stay healthy, that's going to be a tough matchup for the Lakers too. So I guess I gave you a very non-committal type of answer. What I am going to do though is I got to go back. I got to get on that Lakerholics blog and see what Tom's proposing. So I know Tom, I know he's cooked up some great way that we can probably, he's probably getting some great. Yeah, he's got us getting somebody great for Christie in return, I'm sure.
And don't forget Gabe Vincent, who's 6 games with a bad knee and has a 3-year contract. But yes, somehow we managed to trade him out in all of Laker Tom's trades. Because these other NBA GMs are so happy to get Gabe Vincent.
Are we supposed to get news on Gabe? And he was supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks, and that was in around Christmas. So we should be getting some
around the All-Star break. You'll probably hear something about his health.
And they'll say he's out for the season, pretty much.
I think they will.
So Jamie, let me bring it back to you, my friend. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break, Lakers Weekend. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Lakers Weekend. It is Lakerholics Spotlight, Lakerholics.com. Jamie, again, LRob didn't give me the most committal of answers because he's playing it smart.
You got to make a move. There you go. Right. You have to roll the dice. Tomorrow's not promised. We don't know what's going to happen. Take it up. Give yourself a chance.
Fair enough. Okay, but if that's the case, Jamie, if that's the case, where do you go from here? I mean, I just don't see a scenario. I don't see a scenario where it's as easy for a win. I don't expect, the kind of injuries that Memphis suffered, so that makes Memphis, as far as their front line, much weaker than it is for the Lakers to come through. I don't see a Golden State team that is so inefficient with their front line that the Lakers could shoot, just literally overpower them as they did in that series until they met, obviously against the wall that was the Denver Nuggets. I just don't see a scenario. I see these teams, barring any health concerns, barring any health issues, these teams are a lot more loaded up than they were last season, Jamie. So I think it's a really much tougher hill to climb, and the moves you can make can't be as profound as they were this time last year with what little assets you have.
I mean, this is something I've been harping on for a while. We don't have this giant chunk of expiring contract that was Russell Westbrook that just clears the decks of some team's bad cap space situation. In fact, we can offer 0 salary cap relief because I'm guaranteeing, and I've been guaranteeing, and will continue to guarantee that D'Angelo Russell is picking up that player option for next season because I don't see him making more than 18.5 on the open market. So if you're not offering cap relief and you have but one pick that you can trade at this moment in time, and yes, I understand we can do pick swaps. I understand we can throw some second rounders out there, and that's fine. But those aren't the kind of deals that the Hawks are going to make to recoup what they traded out for DeJounte Murray. They're going to want Reeves, and they're probably going to hold the line because it's actually smarter for them to just wait. You can get guess who you can get next season for a first-round draft pick on an expiring contract? D'Angelo Russell. So you wait. If you're a GM, you just wait. You don't do it now.
You gave up 3 first-round draft picks for DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They won't get that back. There's no way they're going to get that back. Traded players are like new cars. As soon as you drive it off the lot, you're not getting what you put out there when you sell the car. You're gonna take a little bit of a loss, and I think GMs understand that.
Let me throw this in there, then, Jamie, real quick. What about you bring in a third team? You got a team like the Knicks. They need offense. They may be interested in somebody like a D'Angelo Russell.
But the thing is, Lakers just don't have enough assets to send out in these trades unless you trade, Austin and D'Lo. JHS is not a first-round draft pick equivalent.
The Knicks don't have access either. Can't the Knicks and Hawks?
The Knicks, but what is the impetus for the Knicks to do that? Like, this is where I keep,
because they have Brunson already.
They have Brunson. Do they need D'Lo? I mean, I'm sure it'd be nice if they had D'Lo, but do they need to help the Lakers facilitate a trade? I mean, if the Knicks want, they have the assets to just trade for Murray themselves. He fits better in with a Thibodeau system anyway than D'Lo does.
Good point.
And so I think this is the issue with the Lakers, is that there are teams that have similar needs to us that can outbid us.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the Bucks. The Bucks are in the market for a game-altering wing. Every team in the playoffs is looking for a game-altering wing. Anybody who's in the top 10 standings in there.
OKC can literally outbid anyone with anything. You want young assets? Great. You want draft picks? Great.
And the Knicks are right behind them.
Yeah.
The Knicks and OKC can outbid anybody for any player that could come on the market. And they have better young players that they could include in a deal to make it even more of a haul. Now, I do think Sam Presti is probably going to still play it pretty close to the vest because that's just what he does. And he's only going to deal a lot of those assets for somebody who's like a bona fide superstar who's under contract for several years, because as soon as they're a free agent, they're going to leave OKC. And he knows that. He knows that because that's what has happened. And that's what will continue to happen. Shea might be the one exception, and that's because they believed in him so much. They gave him a team. He saw how they treated Russ, and he's stepped into that void that Russ left as in terms of like a beloved local hero. These small market teams like OKC, Indiana, even Charlotte, and teams that are look like they're just kind of in a disaster tailspin. They're not gonna just ship guys out for Gabe Vincent because of the cap hit, because they don't make a ton of money, because they rely on the league to give them money at the end of every season. They're going to look at guys who are under contract for 2 or 3 years and say, is this somebody who really impacts winning then? And if they're not, that's just then you need draft picks, and we don't have those yet. So I would like to see the Lakers trade Gabe Vincent because I think he's going to be a lot like Kendrick Nunn, unfortunately, and that, once the knees go on a point guard over 30, it's a law of diminishing returns at that point. You're just not getting the guy you hoped you were going to get, and I feel for Gabe Vincent. I thought he was gritty as all get out last season in the NBA Finals and the NBA playoffs in general, but I just don't see him having much more impact in the league as it stands, unfortunately. And so he will have value 2 years from now. And Hachimura, they signed him to a very tradable contract, but they haven't played him into a tradable role. So he looks kind of like a bust right now because of how the Lakers have managed him this season. And I don't know what the deal with that is. I mean, we play Prince almost twice as many minutes per game as we tend to play Hachimura, and Prince is not getting anything. Nobody's going to trade for Torian Prince because he's going to alter their future. So the moves that I see that are possible would be, is there a way we could use like first round pick and a pick swap to entice, and maybe Jalen Hood-Schifino to entice the Memphis Grizzlies to trade us Marcus Smart for next season? Like having a guy like that alongside Reeves or backing up D'Lo, or Reeves backing them up, or however that would work out, makes a lot of sense to me. I just don't think we have the ponies to run the Murray race. I think other teams can outbid us. I think other teams have better players they could trade Atlanta that complement Trae Young better. I'm assuming that we're not going to trade Reeves for Murray. Like, I just kind of think that writing is on the wall. I don't think Laker fans would be happy if we traded Murray for Reeves as well. So I don't see it happening. And I don't think D'Lo in the pick is enough. If it was enough, it would have happened already. They wouldn't be waiting. Atlanta wouldn't be waiting to the trading deadline. They just do the deal and move on.
Because again, JHS is not commensurate.
No, it's
a first round draft pick. Anybody who thinks he is kidding themselves the way he's been a draft bust so far.
The only way he gets included in a trade is if the salary is off just enough that his rookie deal makes it come up to like fit into the NBA trade. That's nobody's trading for him. He'll just be included in a trade. So, I would like to see the Lakers go for it. I think that LRob made a great point that without Vando, I don't see the worth in it. I think that you're throwing good resources at a bad season, and it's not anybody's fault that like he was hurt in training camp and then it got hurt again, and it's not anybody's fault that just about everybody has been hurt for at least 2 weeks this season. And it's a lot of them more. Really had some bad injury luck. Unfortunately, and what'll be awful is if like we waste 2 really great healthy seasons from LeBron and AD because the rest of the team just couldn't stay on the freaking floor. But it's starting to look like that's the sort of season we're experiencing, and it'll be a bummer. But I think that from draft day on, this summer's upcoming draft day on, the Lakers will just have so much more to work with. They'll have so many more tools in the box that they can throw at a problem. And you'll have a better idea of, hopefully, if some of these guys can stay healthy for the rest of the season, what they really can do together as with some combinations. So I don't know that I'm advocating that the Lakers stand pat, but I'm expecting them to stand pat. I'm expecting them to let this roll as it is, cryptic hourglass tweets and all. And LeBron's got to, he's gonna do his best for LeBron. He said it a million times. It's not his body, it's his brain.
As well he should. And
he's earned that, right? Anybody who says otherwise is a fool. He's earned the right to do whatever he wants with his time and money, and he obviously puts everything into every single game that he possibly can. You can argue that he doesn't like ramp up the defense as much as maybe he should for a regular season game. Guess what? The dude's pushing 40. He's a 40-year-old out there playing with 20-year-olds. So get over it. This is the deal the Lakers signed up for. It's like when they signed Kobe to that $30 million extension when he had blown out his Achilles. You want him to retire a Laker. There's a price that you're going to pay for that. LeBron no longer has the ability to put a team on his shoulders and just carry them to the playoffs by himself. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So knowing that I would imagine that the Laker front office is self-aware enough to know that that's the case, no matter what frozen using siphon carbonite or whatever he does every night to keep his body going. This is the deal, right? So you have to manage this the best you can, and so I think the best way to manage it is to save your bullets for the gunfight where you get some reinforcements after this summer. That's my feeling. I would like to see us make a slam dunk trade, something that, maybe nobody's really thought of or put out there, which is generally what happens with trades, I've discovered. All the ones that people talk about all season long are never the ones that get made. It's always some like, oh, this is what's happening. Great. So if that happens, I'll be pleasantly surprised and I'll be happy to be wrong again. But up until last season, Rob Pelinka had never made an in-season trade. So I kind of think we'll come back to that reality, and we'll see the team that we started with being the team that we finished with, except for guys who are out because of injuries.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Jamie Sweet, along with LRob, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. Hopefully you will join us tomorrow for the pregame, postgame, during the game, and also Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro as we go ahead and the Lakers, face off against, right, fair enough, against the Charlotte Hornets. But LRob, let me ask you this. When it comes right down to it, the Lakers, this is a pivotal point in time this season. We're 50-plus games in, about 30 games left in the season. The Lakers have to make a move at this point in time, similar to what they did last year when they went on an 18-8 run to finish out that season. Of course, that came after the trade deadline and all those moves were made. I just don't see the same magic this time around. It's just because of the fact they don't have a $30+ million expiring contract. They don't have 2 first-round draft picks going into this trade season. So I don't know really what they expect. I really don't know what to get out of it. I just say, again, if you're them and you're looking at the bottom line and the bottom dollar, and that repeater tax is just the fact that you can get off of it is just, I'm assuming, so alluring to them as an organization. And the fact that you can actually get paid for it on top of that as a kicker might be alluring to them. So I don't know. Again, it's not our money. So of course we want all the trades we want. But as an organization, you have to look at it from their standpoint as well and try and anticipate that possibly could be the case. And some very little activity could be made this week for the Los Angeles Lakers. LRob.
Yes. Can they close out like last year? Last year, did we think they can close out strong? No. I mean,
good point.
They did. Austin Reeves, he was expected to take a step this year. That hasn't happened. Last 2 games, he's been unbelievable. If Austin Reeves can get back to playing, I mean, obviously he's not going to have games like he had against Boston, but if he can play like he played yesterday, the Lakers, that changes the Lakers' trajectory. I mean, Austin Reeves was a mess for a lot of, he was a big reason why the Lakers were struggling early. He's righted the ship. If we can get some consistency from him, I think that changes the team. That makes the Lakers a much more dangerous team. I haven't really looked at their schedule closely. It looks like they got a decent February schedule, if my memory serves correctly, but it gets a little tougher.
As Joe said, once they come back to the friendly confines of the crypt, they do not leave the Pacific time zone for the rest of the month.
Okay. And then March, I know it gets a little tougher. So
yeah,
I think they definitely can climb out of the play-in tournament. They can make a move.
They're 3 games out of 6 to give you an idea.
Yeah, so you can get there. Just getting back to their playoffs. Once they get there, does anyone? I think teams will be lining up to try to play Oklahoma City, right? Of course, Minnesota has been tough. I mean, they look good, but do we know what Karl Anthony Towns will look like come playoff time? He hasn't exactly showed that he can deliver when the pressure's on. So Minnesota's not that tough. Again,
or will Rudy Gobert be played off the floor again?
Yeah, and then Conley's not a young man either. So then, again, you worry about the Clippers and you worry about Denver and Phoenix, and how many of those teams will you really have to play? You worry about the Clippers and Denver and a little bit Phoenix. So, you may have to actually play one of those teams, maybe 2. If you got to play 2 of them, yes, you win one, and then you just see what you can do. I don't think the Lakers can duplicate last year's close, but I think they can do enough to get out of the play-in and position themselves a little bit better in the playoffs. And then, going into the playoffs, if Reeves is balling, if LeBron is healthy and AD is playing like he is playing, I don't think people will be lining up to play the Lakers either.
Well, what are your thoughts, though, on Sacramento? Sacramento had a taste of the playoffs last season and is right now the front runner as far as ahead of this pack of this. They're not leading the division in the Pacific Division. That's the Clippers, but they're the leaders of the pack of this 5th through 12th spot, guys. Do you guys have any at all nervousness around Sacramento, or do we feel that just sort of like similar as last year? First round, nice upstart team. Don't see a happy ending for them.
Yeah, it's just not physical enough.
Okay.
And when the playoffs come, that high scoring and that breakneck speed that they were playing at, it didn't work. I mean, even when they were playing Golden State, a team that was tailor made for them, Sabonis kind of he got slowed down significantly, and I see the same thing happening again for them in the playoffs. He's a good player, but I don't think his stats will be able to translate to winning and making deep playoff run without more help, up front.
Okay. What about you, Jamie? You don't see Sacramento as a real threat because they often get overlooked by everyone, not just us, but by everyone out there in the media as a true contender in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming from the guy who picked, the Timberwolves to win the division, to win the Western Conference. I think that Sacramento has probably learned a little bit of a playoff lesson from last season. Is it enough to translate into more than maybe a first-round series win? I don't think that it is. I think that they still have – I think they're probably a move away too. I think that I don't think you can grow enough from a play. They had to make a change of some sort. They either had to get another big guy to help Sabonis who can play with Sabonis, or just a more athletic, a more physical. LRob's right. Sabonis doesn't want to bang with dudes. He wants to play. He's kind of like Gasol. He wants to play a prettier brand of basketball. But Mike Brown is not Phil Jackson. He doesn't know how to make the best use of Sabonis, I feel like. And so teams are going to the same strategy that worked last year against Sacramento is probably going to work this year in the playoffs. And that's shut down Fox. If Barnes beats you, you know what? Tip the cap. Good job, Harrison Barnes. Way to go. They're going to let Sabonis stand there with the ball 20, 25 feet out, sag way off of him, and say, you make a 20-foot jumper. You make us guard you. And when he doesn't do that, and I don't think he will, then they're going to lose that series. So if it's kind of on Sabonis to add that jump shot to his game or add a level of physicality that generally you don't learn. You either come into the league with a level of physicality or you don't. You're either somebody who bangs or you're somebody who, does twisty, awkward ballerina shots to avoid contact and still try to get a shot up. So, and I put Sabonis in the second category. And that's not to say that that's not a skill in and of itself and that it's not, that doesn't make him bad. It just makes it harder to win in the playoffs when the physicality goes up and when any weakness in your game is just mercilessly exposed over and over and over and over again until you prove otherwise. And that's why guys like Russ and that's like guys like Sabonis, who for all the regular season success, for all the great things they can do in the regular season, will forever have hard times in the playoffs because it's about being able to mitigate what you can't do. It's not what you can do. It's how do you, and this is up to the coaches as well. It's not just on the player. How do we hide our flaws? And there's not a good way for the Kings to hide that flaw. So if you can shut down Fox, just make him work, kind of the way the Lakers made Brunson work, trap him coming over the court. Don't let him get to his dominant hand. Although, as LRob astutely pointed out, we somehow still managed to watch Brunson drive to his dominant hand all night long, pretty much until the last 7 minutes of the fourth, when they finally were like, maybe we should do something about that. But it's that kind of tactic that will get exposed in the playoffs. And so it's going to be interesting to see how even the Knicks do in the playoffs. They're rolling in the regular season. Anybody who's watched basketball knows it's two very different experiences. The regular season, while vital and necessary, is a very different style and brand of basketball than what works in the playoffs. These juggernaut offenses that roll through the regular season with these absurd, point differentials and putting up points per game suddenly lose 10, 15 points per game. And it comes down to grit and defense and rebounding and communication and just togetherness. And if you didn't build those things up during the regular season to some degree, going to be one and done, maybe two and done if you get hot for a couple of games or so and so lights up a team the way Lonnie Walker the fourth lit up Golden State that one quarter for us last season, which kind of swung that series vastly in our favor. And there's no shame in that. It means you had a great season, but you're not a champion, and you won't be until you figure out how to hide those flaws, or add something to your game that mitigates them. So if Sabonis has to get a pick and pop element to his game, where he's just going to be a talented passing guy who's not quite as good as Jokic, probably not even as good as Pau Gasol was, because Gasol could hit from the outside, and so that's what's going to define the Kings. I don't think the Lakers match up great against the Kings, unfortunately. So if we get the Kings in the first round, I think it'll be a slog. And I think that the fan base in Sacramento will be absolutely rabid to hand the Lakers a playoff loss. And so having home court advantage, as it's likely that they would, I think would also be a problem. So I kind of hope we don't draw Sacramento in the first round. I would much rather draw Minnesota or OKC. I think we can match up very well against both of those teams. If we were healthy, I don't see us winning too much in the playoffs without a healthy Vanderbilt, unfortunately. And I know people are going to be like, "Oh, we got played off the playoffs last season," and I thought that was a mistake, and that was mainly due to he got gun shy on offense. Like, he stopped trying to do anything on offense, and I think that that's something that we saw him start to work through this season a little bit, and became a little bit more creative in how he could get himself open. Again, something that could be exposed in the playoffs, but I don't think we're going to get to see that this season, unfortunately, because I don't think I'm like LRob. If we come home from LA, if we get back to LA, and it's there's no tear in the foot, there's no problem with the tendons, everything, it looks like it's just like some kind of flare up. We're gonna shut you down for a couple of weeks. We'll bring you back. Can't trade him anyway, so we'll bring you back after the trading deadline. That changes my equation as well. But I have to assume, based on all the reports I'm seeing, that it seems like it's something serious. That they're waiting to get back to LA to kind of make a final decision and let him kind of process and work through what he wants to do in terms of surgery and all that jazz. But I just don't see us able to contain Anthony Edwards without Vando. I don't think Hachimura's fast enough. You got to put AD on Cat. LeBron can't keep up with Anthony Edwards, so you have to hope that they melt down. And again, I think that fan base is just going to be that first round or two. The fans can really push you across the finish line in a tough series, and so I just think that since I don't expect us to really have home court advantage, unfortunately. That we'll again be playing on the road for the entirety of the playoffs, and that's just it's just all of it's uphill. There's nothing that's downhill for the Lakers right now, and it's a tough slog. So if I had to pick a team to face in the first round, I actually might hope. This is going to sound weird, but I might hope for Denver, because that's the freshest we'll be in all of the playoffs, playing at elevation against Denver. And if you go through a series or two, by the time you get to that series against Denver, once you travel there, you're kind of done. And that's what they showed us last year, that the Denver Nuggets with home court advantage is a potentially insurmountable obstacle by the time you roll around to the NBA Finals, because everybody's already tired. Everybody's already gone through the entire grind of the 82 game season. Everybody's gone through 5, 6, 7 round playoff matchups. Physical battles where you're battling hard, not like the regular season, but like real battles, and you're done already. And now you're playing a mile above the surface of the earth against a team that is good with it. They're ready, and they've been ready. That whole team has been playing at that elevation for years together now, and it's a serious advantage. So that's the best we'll have. That's the best chance we'd ever have against Denver, would be in round one.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, Lakerholics Spotlight. Lakers weekend, everyone. Hopefully you have a great Lakers.
Sunshine rainbows, right? Nothing but sunshine.
Well, where you're at, my friend. You're supposed to be flooded and underwater, from what I hear.
It's pretty rainy. It's we're not there yet, but we might get there by tomorrow when it's time.
Okay, well, just make sure your living arrangements don't become a houseboat anytime soon.
I want to live on a houseboat though. It sounds so nice.
Okay. Going down San Monica Boulevard.
Well, I mean, not like that.
Love boat.
Yes.
Always wanted to live on a boat. Seems like it'd be very relaxing.
I will ask you though, and we'll close this out with LRob's thoughts. Again, LRob, a lot to think about heading into the playoff season. You're more than welcome to stop by anytime this week you can, my friend, as far as NBA trade deadline. I am doing an NBA trade deadline special at 10 a.m. on Thursday, Pacific time to 1 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know yet as far as a Kobe unveiling statue special. Joe's going to let me know when that's going to be, whether or not we do that for a pregame or if that's done during the course of the day. So he's going to let me know on that day as well for Thursday. But Tuesday, I also plan to go ahead, Stone Hansen and I, sometime a little bit earlier in the evening, plan to do an NBA trade deadline special as far as that's concerned as well. So your thoughts, my friend. Is it going to be an active week for the Lakers? Just let me hear your thoughts on that. I really want to know, in your heart, do you think
it's going to be an active week on the phones? Am I counting on them getting something done? No. I mean, people don't want to trade with the Lakers. They don't. I mean, that's the Lakers had a cross they have to bear that probably no other franchise do, as far as teams just don't want to help LA. They got the Laker brand and LA weather, and they got all the benefits. We're not helping those guys. So there's a Laker tax with any trade. So having said that, they'll do something on the margins because they have to. But I just don't see them pulling off a trade that's really going to be that impactful. So let me drop in one little fact check on Jamie's comment on Rui. So Rui averages 23 minutes a game and Prince 30 minutes. So it's not a huge differential in their playing time.
But it's funny. I will say this though, Rob. Yesterday, did you not think when you heard that Rui was in the starting lineup that he was going to get the majority of the minutes over Taurean Prince yesterday? Absolutely. Did you not?
Absolutely. But somehow Taurean had a good game. TP had a good game. So I mean, he shot well.
I give him credit for that.
He was a factor in the game. So some games he's not a factor. So he was a factor. That's all we want. Be a factor. If you're out there playing 30 minutes, make your presence felt somehow, some way. So I mean, I think Rui doesn't have the trade value, because I don't blame that on Darvin though. Rui has had some of it is his health. Legitimately, he was starting and he didn't play well as a starter. So he got himself to blame for that. But he's had opportunity. You playing 20-something minutes a game. Get out there and ball in the time you have out on the court. So, but at any rate, yes, I think the Lakers will do something this week. Absolutely.
All right. Fair enough. I don't think they can resist. I think they sometimes will just make a trade just to try to shelter out the noise, just make a trade to make a trade deal as far as that's concerned. I just think that they will make moves as well. I'm just not sure if it's in their best interest moving forward. If it's it's again, the short-term gains equal long-term losses philosophy, Jamie. So and LRob. I just not sure if it's the wisest thing to do, but it is the Lakers. I just don't think they can help themselves. What do
you think of Doug Christie? Does he bring any value? Anybody look at him and say, like, I mean, Doug Christie. Yes. Does anybody look at him?
That's okay. I keep saying Tayshaun Prince every time for Taurean Prince.
Does anybody, and I should get Mac's name right, being a Spartan, if anybody does anybody look at him and say, okay, he's someone that we think could help us down the road?
Yes, but he's an expiring contract and you're going to have to pay him more next season. So I think you just wait till the summer, and teams with cap space are going to make him an offer, and teams that don't have cap space would have given away whatever they gave away for him to watch him walk, So I think this is another one of those things that's always mystified me about the front office, is when they pick up a promising rookie and then give him the chance to leave as quickly as the league would allow for him to leave. And if I was Max Christie, I'd be looking at my playing time on the Lakers and being like, man, you've got me as like a third or fourth string guard, and I think I'm a second or third or maybe even a starter on the right team. And I'm going to go find another team, and I'm going to go play more. I think that a team like, I mean, I was sitting here thinking, like, could we trade Hood Schifino for like a 7 years down the line first round pick from OKC?
Good grief, no, they wouldn't. Why would they want that?
Or like 2 or 3 second rounders? Like, because that's the kind of move I would expect the Lakers to make, to trade somebody who is ineffectual into somebody else's cap space and get picks back for a big move this summer, for something that's like, oh, okay, you're going for it. I really don't see the Lakers making a tiny little kind of a trade. Like I just, it's not on brand. It's not on brand, and like we're all saying it. If in aid of what? What is it in aid of? What is it going to fix? I've liked Max Christie since the calendar year turned over. I was not a big Max Christie fan in 2023. 2024 is, I think he's showing me a little something more in what role he has, in what limited minutes he gets. I mean, he's another guy. If you know that Vando's not coming back, and you've got a firm sense of what Taurean Prince can do, and like I look at Taurean Prince as like Troy Brown Jr., right? Like I like Troy Brown Jr. as a player. He's got a very defined ceiling, and it's mostly based on if he's hitting 3-pointers or not. And so I kind of see Prince as the same way. He's not and we saw this last night. Like, he had no ability to stay in front of Brunson, and he had no ability to stop Josh Hart from getting to the basket to offensive rebound, which is something. I mean, Josh Hart's trying to do one thing. Like, he just wants to go get the ball. So it should be, sort of easy to try to stop him. Not easy, but, that's your job. So I would flip the script a little bit and be like, this isn't a knock on you, Taurean, but we're going to see what Christie and Rui can do a little more. Only because you invested money in Rui Hachimura, and he spent time with LeBron over the summer, and everybody was going on and on and on about all that. And with Christie, you got to decide. You got his bird rights. You're going to be able to pay him the most money. Like, you got to know what you're going to do with that. It's one of the few young players we got that has any kind of impact on the floor. So to watch another guy like that walk for nothing, like how we let Randall walk, how we let a lot of our young players over the last 10 years just walk, I think would be you don't have draft picks. So when you do have a player of impact, you got to get something out of it, whether you keep him or trade him for something. And so it doesn't make enough money to really bring anything back other than future draft picks, which is, that wouldn't surprise me. And you could trade him into a team's cap space and just get picks back and still make a trade, Gerald, and, sate the trade monster and still stay under the tax apron and make who doesn't like money? Everybody likes money. I don't care how much money you got. You like more of it. Those are the types of moves I expect, for this season. I think the Lakers have to consider trying to get something they're not going to get something for nothing. So you got to try to, if you're not going to keep Christie, and if you don't know by now, that's like, what have you been doing? what have you been doing the last 2 years?
What I want to know is who has started this rumor regarding Stanley Johnson. I've heard that for the past 3 days. He's G League. He's playing in the G League now.
Love Stanley Johnson. Bring him back, baby. I love guys like that. Those are my favorite types of players.
Failed once before with the Lakers. Why not try it again, right?
Great with Vogel. He was solid. No, I don't see. I mean, we need a guy. That's talk about Vando Light. That's Stanley Johnson. But I don't know. I don't know. I think the Lakers have to make really serious internal evaluations about the guys they have, especially the 1 or 2 guys who are going to be free agents next summer, and that's Max Christie, and that's potentially LeBron James. And there's not many other people. So if you're not going to keep Max Christie, you got to figure something out there, because to let another guy walk who probably could get you something if you tried, I just don't see the logic. Even if it helps somebody who you don't want to help, like get something. You got to at some point you got to build for the future. You can't rely on a 49-year-old LeBron James to be carrying the team at the end of the decade. Like you gotta plan for the future at some point. And I could see a Laker build around AD, LeBron, or I'm sorry, AD, D'Lo, and Reeves to some degree. Like that's a decent trio that would definitely need wing help of some sort. But this whole season has been like a series of it's very season. Injuries, weird choices, up and down play from guys. I do wonder if Reeves coming back after a summer of not playing basketball next season would be better. We all thought he would come back. He would come into this season like in a rhythm, and it looked like he was exhausted. And has only recently like found his legs again. So I'm wondering if like a real summer off would maybe do him more good, and we're better somehow next year just as is. But I don't, that's obviously a debate we can't really have right now. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a great conversation. Once again, check out Jamie's suite, Lakerholics.com for his 5 Things articles. But LRob, also great to have you here, my friend. Again, the invitation is out to you for this week. If you want to stop by for some of our NBA trade deadline specials this week. But any last thoughts from you guys? LRob, you first, my friend, before we head on out.
Yes. Great feeling beating Boston. That never gets old. So I'm still high off of that feeling. I'm like Laker time. I'm naturally an optimistic guy. So I'm always going to think that the Lakers can put it together and play much better. But overall, I've kind of lowered my expectations, and I know that they can't make it through the West, with their current roster. Even with the healthy Vando, they still need something else. So just going to enjoy, seeing AD play great defense. Hopefully see our, AR continue to shine. I'm just kind of watching the games without stressing over whether or not this Lakers team has a chance to get number 18, because that doesn't look like it's happening. So enjoying LeBron at 39, doing the great things that he can do at that age.
It's incredible watching LeBron right now. It's amazing. It's like, what is going on with this guy? He's amazing.
So, Jamie, any last thoughts before we head on out?
Just don't fall into a trap against Charlotte, and just keep up with this one game at a time approach. It served us well on the road trip. I know we didn't win against Houston. I think we kind of got a little punked, and we didn't respond well to the punk in Houston. And then for whatever reason, that carried over into Atlanta. And I think that Atlanta loss might have been the low point of the season. I thought the low point of the season was when we went 2-13 after the IST. I think that Atlanta loss was the low point because nobody showed up. The whole team kind of was like, eh. And when you see the whole team kind of go, you have nothing but, angst about it. That there's nothing hopeful about that. And so to see them rebound the way they did against these two very quality teams, and I know the Knicks were without 3 good guys, but that was still, a win is a win, and they could have just as easily lost that game the way they went into the fourth quarter, and it looked like Brunson was firing. And they found it within themselves to finally step it up on defense and shut him down. So, and LeBron put it perfectly. He's like, on any given night, we can beat anybody, and on every given night, anybody can beat us. So it feels like it's kind of on them to decide to be who they want to be. And can they do it consistently enough to like at least get into the play-in, hopefully get to that 6th seed. And then I have to agree. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to line up to play the Lakers in the playoffs, no matter who's on the roster. But I think that it's going to be an uphill battle, no matter who we draw and what the bracket path is. And I agree with LRob. Enjoy the games, people. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. We're supposed to be relaxing when we watch these games, not setting ourselves up for a stress fest. So, I know a lot of people are banking on a trade. I think rather look hope that they can all look within and find something that allows them to compete at that highest level, like we see that they're able to do.
We'll see what happens, but it is the Lakers Fast Break tomorrow. Of course, again, we've got some really great things going on with, of course, the pregame show coming up and leading you into Lakers at Charlotte. Also, as well, of course, during the game, our simulcast on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, and of course, Facebook and YouTube. Our post game, the best post game for the Lakers that's out there. And of course, after that, hopefully he'll be recovered by then. Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro. If you do not see last night's Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro and him getting drunk, literally, just go ahead and make sure you check it out. Please, it is worth the watch. The later you go into it, the better it gets. And I'll leave it at that. But LRob, Jamie Sweet, great to have you here. Again, you guys, please come by this week for your thoughts on the NBA trade deadline. I have specials set up for Tuesday and, of course, Thursday. We'll see about the Kobe unveiling statue ceremony when that takes place. Might center something around it. Otherwise, I'll put that as part of the pregame on Thursday. So definitely won't forget that. But yes, definitely want to go ahead and make sure you are out there that know we are doing for you what you are doing for us, is providing support out there. So please go ahead and like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. So for Jamie Sweet from Lakerholics.com and his 5 Things articles, and LRob, it's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. Hopefully you will continue to have a great Lakers weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast.